Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt, and this is my new car. Well, I guess it's our new car, me and my wife. And this is a 2023 Honda CRV Sport Touring Hybrid. So it's the top of the top. We can show you everything. And we got this car predominantly for my wife to take back and forth to work. But we are going to split custody of the car so I can get some driving impressions and all that sort of thing, so I can report to you on what it's like to own one of the most popular cars on the road. But we replaced her 2016 Mazda CX-5, naturally aspirated, 4-cylinder. It was pretty bulletproof. We had it for about 6 years and 100,000 miles, and during that time only one thing went wrong. But now we've moved on to our 2023 Honda CRV Sport Touring Hybrid, and these are the 8 reasons why we did that. Now we're going to break down the 8 reasons that we bought this car, and the first one actually has a lot to do with safety, and specifically, as funny as it sounds, the headlights. Now, like I said, this is predominantly going to be a car to get my wife to and from work. She goes into the office or the studio 3 days a week, and when she does that, those are like 100-mile days. And a lot of the times, especially in the winter here, late fall, early spring, it's dark, like really dark to get, especially coming home, but sometimes even in the morning going out there. Sometimes there's rural roads, a lot of it's just open highway, so out into the country stuff, and there's just not a lot of light there. So in her Mazda, she did have like the basic halogen lights. We replaced those. I replaced them from with some LEDs from O'Reilly or whatever, and it helped a little bit, but it just wasn't, I get press cars all the time, so I'm used to like a very modern lighting capacity from like a modern headlight. So there was just a little bit of concern, her spending a lot of time on snowy or wet or icy roads with very little visibility. So having something like a modern headlight, as simple as that sounds, was a big concern for us. So I'm glad that we did this. And on top of that, just from a broader safety perspective, like I said, when she does go into the office, she's doing, 50 miles at a time just about on open highway. And so having stuff like adaptive cruise and like a lane keep assist to kind of help relax or help her, kind of chew up those miles is a really nice thing to have. And Honda's sensing system here on the Sport Touring CRV is actually a pretty good system. It's not probably a top 3 or a top 5. It's not like a Super Cruise or a Blue Cruise, but it's good enough to be helpful, which is what you really want anyway. And then speaking of safety, one of the things that I did immediately was call my friends at Kumho and say, hey, we've got a new car for my wife. You guys gave me some great tires for my BMW M340 that I really loved. Do you have anything that would work for the CRV? This is the use case. It's a lot of highway. It's a lot of, winter stuff here in Wisconsin. What do you recommend? And they came back with the Solus 4S HA32, which is actually an all-weather tire, which is different than an all-season tire. You might see these on the road more commonly. They've got a totally different tread pattern. The tread is different, the sipes are different, and basically it works like an all-season plus. So you don't have to change it out for the winter and then change it back in the summer. It's something that you can leave on all seasons, or 4 seasons as it says here, but it takes it a step further than a traditional all season. It's a softer compound, so it works better in wet conditions, snowy conditions, icy conditions. Also, the tread pattern disperses water a lot better. So again, in these inclement conditions that we get here in Wisconsin, this is really helpful. And one of the best things that's really helpful, especially if you live in somewhere with like a mountainous area, like Colorado, let's say, this is a 3-peak mountain snowflake rated, which is in a lot of places in the country, well, I should say a lot of places in mountainous areas at least, maybe even in the Northeast, you can't go on certain roads at certain times of the year without snow chains or tires that have the 3-peak mountain snowflake rating on them. So these are super versatile tire. You don't have to swap them out. And it was actually snowing the day that I put these on. So it was really nice to kind of back-to-back test the Michelins that the car came on and then getting these Kumho Solus 4S HA32s on. Immediately felt better confidence on braking in the snow, on initial turn in and that grip. That's that confidence that gives you, okay, the car is going to make this corner, and then mid-corner hold. It's not going to start turning and then stop and understeer. It's going to keep holding through the corner, and then of course it's got better grip when you start to get on the power. But no, overall the tire has been fantastic. I think the softer compound actually translates to a slightly softer ride, but we'll comment on that a little bit more after the 6-month update, after I've had a little bit more time with the tire. I also do want to give a quick shout out to my salesman at Colosso Toyota in Appleton, Wisconsin. His name is Lance Van Dyke. He was super easy to work with, so shout out to you, Lance. Thanks so much for the help, and we'll see you for the next one too. But safety aside, let's talk about number 2. The second reason that we got the CRV, and specifically the hybrid, was for efficiency. Now, I know what you're gonna say. I've just been telling you how much highway traveling she's doing, and hybrids don't generally shine with the highway. Now, her old Mazda CX-5, the 2016 with the 2.5 NA 4-cylinder, was averaging over its lifespan around 27 mpg. The Honda here is rated for about 40 low, or like high 30s, low 40s mpg in mixed conditions. Now, like I said, she's doing a lot of highway, and that is not the strong suit of this CRV. We've had this, I'm shooting this at the end of January, we've had this since the beginning of December, and I will tell you, we'll talk about it more in the subsequent videos when we talk about the hybrid specifically and the pros and cons of this car, but it is very, very disappointing to see how this thing performs fuel efficiency wise on the highway. So under about 70, 65 miles an hour, this thing is wildly efficient. I can drive it to the store, I can drive it to get the car washed, whatever. If I'm just doing stuff around town, I'm not doing big open stretches of highway, even highway stretches like through the city when you're going like 60, 65, this thing is getting high 30s, you know, maybe even into the low 40s in terms of fuel economy. But once you get it onto that open highway is when it really starts sucking down fuel. Again, we'll talk more about why this is and what the actual numbers are in subsequent videos, but efficiency was top of mind when we got this for her, so it's a little bit disappointing to see how poorly it's performed on the open highway, which is most of her driving. And then the next major reason that we wanted to get her a new car was just to modernize her experience, specifically from a technology standpoint. One of the things that she complained about a lot in her Mazda was that the Bluetooth connection was really kind of unreliable, and I even noticed that when I would get in the car. It just, we had her phone connected, my phone connected, and even when neither of the other person was in the car, it sometimes would just be a little bit finicky in terms of connecting Bluetooth. Now, with a modern system, it's got a newer Bluetooth system, and this has been pretty reliable. I know some people that I'm friends with that are also journalists on YouTube have like Civic Type Rs, and they've complained a little bit about some connection issues with their Type R and like Apple CarPlay. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto here on the CRV Hybrid, but we have not experienced any of that. I have an iPhone, she has an Android, and both of our phones connect pretty seamlessly to the CRV, and so it's really nice to have that feature and everything just up on the screen. This is her first car with Android Auto or CarPlay, and she's loving it. So just from a modern tech perspective, this is a quantum leap forward from her CX-5. And the fourth reason that we looked at the CRV was largely had to do with size, specifically in the back seat and the trunk. Now, we've got dogs, they go in the back seat, they're pretty small, so it doesn't really mean a lot, but she is also a D1 NCAA bowler. Yeah, that's a real thing. I didn't know when we first met, but yes, there are people that are D1 NCAA bowlers. And she was. So she does have a bowling league that she's in once a week, and she has to bring her equipment. And sometimes it's just 3 balls in a big bag, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's, I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff that needs to go in the trunk of the car. And her CX-5, Mazda's the CX-5 generally, is like notoriously small for this segment, and the CRV is one of the biggest in the segment. I think with the second row up, it is the largest trunk in the segment. We also, our dog tore his ACL, and then we had to get this big, you know, kind of crate that we borrowed from her parents. They have Shelties, so we borrowed this big crate that there was no way was going to fit in the CX-5, but fit perfectly in the back of the CRV. So trunk space is really, really impressive on the CRV, and then rear seat space, I can sit back there at 6'1", and I have several inches of knee room, and I have headroom above me, something that I didn't really have in spades in the CX-5. The fifth reason that we went with this car in particular had to do with the spec. She really, really loves this color, and I do too. This is definitely the best color that you can get the CRV in. And we landed with the CRV because I think she and I both kind of feel that the CRV is probably one of the more attractive in the segment. There's also things like the RAV4, the main competitor to this, but that's kind of an aging, more geometric, more like rugged, or you could even say butch design. This is clean, it looks expensive, it looks sporty, it looks kind of aggressive. It's not overdone with the wheel arch cladding, Mazda CX-50. And it's a nice design. The paint is really good. I like the black wheels. I would like a lighter interior, if I'm honest. If you don't go for the Canyon Blue River metallic paint here, you can get a lighter interior. So I think that would be the perfect spec if you could get a light interior with this paint. But the black spec that we have inside is going to age better. There's a little bit of orange stitching here and there to give it some personality. So overall, it's a very handsome car, and I think that was important to her. Since she's not a huge car enthusiast, the way it looks is a big deal. And even to people that are car enthusiasts, the way your car looks is a big deal. You want to have something that you get out of the car and you look back and you're like, that's cool. I'm glad that I have that. I like my car. And then the sixth reason that we got this car had to do with the future, and that's just resale value of the car. Now, we had her Mazda for 6 years and we had it for like 100,000 miles. So resale value, you probably weren't going to get a whole lot. We got rid of the car with like 150, 160,000 miles on that Mazda, but we're big believers in buying used or certified pre-owned or gently used. So this, obviously only about 2 years old, gently used. It had like just under 17,000 miles on it, still under warranty, so there's that peace of mind there. But also just the fact that these Honda hybrids and also the Toyota hybrids hold their value incredibly well. So even if we have this thing for 5 years and put 100,000 miles on it, it's still going to hold its value a lot better than, like, I don't know, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but like the Chevy Equinox that we were just in and we did a comparison video between these two, this is going to have a stronger resale value at the end of our time with the car than something like an Equinox. And the seventh thing that we're going to talk about, and this was a big one, it's reliability. And this is why you go with Honda, you go with Toyota, you go with Mazda, you go with the Japanese brands, because every year in Consumer Reports, it's going to be Lexus, Toyota, Honda, Subaru, something in that order. They're always at the top in terms of reliability, and this is no different. Reliability is a huge deal for everyone, and specifically for my wife. She doesn't really care about the engine or performance as much, but she wants the car to look good, feel good, be comfortable, and be reliable, and be easy to maintain. And this is, again, we're going to talk about the new Honda, or not, I guess not super new, but Honda's hybrid system here. It's different than most other hybrids on the road, and what it results in is less moving parts and more reliability, more simplicity. So I think this will age really well and be super reliable like her CX-5 was before. So that's really, really nice to have, that peace of mind, knowing that this is going to be a nice, dependable vehicle for our family. Then the eighth and final reason that we got this car was a little bit selfish on my part, but it was a business reason, and it's the fact that the Honda CRV, whether it's hybrid or not, is one of the more popular vehicles that are on the road today. People love these things, and actually the sales kind of reflect what Honda's mission was with this new generation CRV. It was to sell kind of 50-50, 50% hybrids, 50% not hybrids, which is a big jump in terms of hybrid adoption from the previous generation. But I wanted to have this vehicle because there's just a lot that I can do with it, and a lot of the stuff that I'm going to experience with it is going to be relevant to other people. So a lot of people have questions, and this is an automotive review channel, so it makes sense to have something that's mass market that a lot of people are going to be interested in and a lot of people are going to have questions in, so I can kind of go through the ownership experience and show what my experience has been to keep you from maybe making a decision or help you in finding the right car that makes sense for you. But that's it. Those are the 8 reasons that we bought our 2023 Honda CRV Sport Touring Hybrid. We've loved it so far. Aside from the open highway fuel economy, everything else has been fantastic about this car. And spoiler alert, I just bought a Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, so we've got direct competitors in the garage. So expect some competition videos, expect some kind of like long-term ownership reliability series stuff, and we'll do different stuff with it. I plan on taking this to the racetrack, as funny as that sounds, but it says sport on the back and there's a sport mode in it, so let's see how it does around Road America's Motorplex. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more stuff with this and my upcoming RAV4 Hybrid. We'll see you in the next one.